I would certainly tell anyone that's thinking of this, if you want to do it, do it. It doesn't matter if you're 40, 50, 60, even 70. There's never, it's never too late to start a business. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it just all comes down to your reasons. Why are you doing it? That's I would ask that question first, because if you're doing it because you think the money's going to be way better, that can happen certainly. But
right.
but there's we always said if we would have taken the approach to work, which is silly because as agents we effectively have been self-employed, right? But there's a different mentality to it. When we worked for some of the other companies, there's a very different mentality, not coming from the companies, just ourselves. There was a security net or a security blanket or in the fact that we had some support and some systems, and we were tapping into those. And then, as you start, and you don't just need to find the business and do the business. You need to understand the bookkeeping and the compliance. In our world, compliance is huge, and there's all of these. And then you need to think about marketing, and you need to think, and then you got to have budgets for all of that. And these are things you take for granted, when you're filling out an expense account.
Right.
So, and what happens is you spend your day doing the work, and then you spend the evening doing all that other stuff, right? Until you get, until you get to the point where you can hire somebody to come and help you out.
Anyway, a vast majority of people I've interviewed said the same thing, that if they could do one thing over again, they would have hired a little bit sooner.
Yeah, sure.
Because, they thought, okay, I got to do all this myself. So they're doing the bookkeeping, they're doing the IT, they're doing things that are really not their strengths. And therefore, it's taking them, let's say, 5 hours to do something. They should take somebody an hour. Yeah. But they're so concerned about the cash flow. And listen, we've all been through it, so I respect and understand that. But it may be for listeners out there, there's lots of ways you can do this now, right? You can hire someone on a contract basis. You can hire virtual someone. Part-time. You don't necessarily have to jump all in. But
that decision that you're talking about, I had a friend walk in before we hired Jess. And he walked into my office, and I was working. He saw me working on the computer, and he laughed. He said, "Oh, sorry, I thought you were working or designing a brochure." And I looked at him, and I was quite annoyed. And I said, "I am. What are you talking about?" He's like, "Dude, you can hire people to do that. Like, you need to be out doing that." And I got very defensive, and I thought, "Do you know how much it costs to hire people?" Anyway, but when you hire talent, that's the thing. And so we talk about what are the biggest opportunities, what are the biggest challenges in the market. I think the opportunity is the people, and if we can attract and hire talent, and if we have a culture that will support them in their growth, that is the number one priority for us, because if you hire talent, they take the ball and they run with it.
Yeah.
There's been multiple points where we've, so it's an evolution, and I'd say the most recent one was 2017. For a number of reasons, was a tougher year for us. We'd been established. We had multiple great years in a row and getting better. And for a couple of reasons with a number of projects, we kind of spent a lot of time on a couple of projects that were really large that didn't end up happening. We sat and looked at each other, and we also work with a business coach, and we looked at it and said, like, is this going to keep happening like this roller coaster? What can we do? There's really three options. You continue doing what you're doing, or you can, completely say, okay, this has been a fun experiment, or you can say, maybe we can change things. Yeah. And that was, so I'd say September 2017 was a point where the amount of work, the stress that had come in, we had, the personal stuff had happened that year, and it was just tough. And it brought us to a point, almost a breaking point, where we had to reconsider how we do this, and fortunately, the greatest decision we probably ever made as business owners is to work together. So my partner Graham and I started working together. As I said, we started at the same company in 2004 and became partners in 2007. And so there's a great deal of trust there.
There's a history.
It's a huge history, and he's got, we really balance each other as far as our strengths. And so at that point we looked at it and said, okay, here's your greatest strength. Let's what happens if we take everything back and you can run on that? And then so we did that for a period of time where he took one area of the business and I took another, and then tested that and said, wow, this is really great. What if we had another person in here? And we hired Sarah a year ago. And again, to trust somebody to come in and to trust somebody with your clients.
It's not easy, is it?
It's not easy, but that's where the people are the greatest opportunity, right? When you find the right people, and we've got a team of people who are so committed, who are so caring and empathetic to our client situations and committed. Like we're beyond fortunate.
Yeah. I'm a big believer that if you're building a business, well, if you're doing anything, but let's just talk about the business, that if you're doing it with integrity, that eventually you'll win out. It may take you a little bit longer, let's be honest, because you're doing things the right way, and sometimes it's a little bit slower. But I'd rather be able to sleep at night, quite frankly, than. So good for you that you sounds like you have that same culture, and they've got people that have bought into that way of thinking. I've
it's happened multiple times where and there was a great example a couple of weeks ago where in our process, we really dig hard because we've got to protect our clients, right? And we can't protect against everything, but we need to understand what they're stepping into. So that means reading every lease. That means understanding, leveraging our network and our resources to do whatever we can to flush out information if it could be a bad deal, or to at least highlight the risks. And probably some of our greatest success stories as a company have come after saying to a client, uncovering something and saying, you can't move ahead with this deal. And there's an immediate hit from a revenue standpoint for the company.
Right.
But what that does when you're telling a client who wants to go forward on something and you can't recommend it and you're highlighting all the reasons why, there's definitely a trust that's built there, and it's not that we go and try to recommend against deals, right? But
you're just doing the right thing.
But if we put their needs first and we think about this as a legacy decision for them, which is that's what drives everything. When we do this exploratory process, we try to understand what is driving this decision for them, and generally there's a generational component to it, right? I want to set my family up. I want to set my grandchildren's children up.